penjara tanpa bicara. Bayangkan anda dilemparkan tuduhan ini dan diheret ke penjara tanpa cahaya. Ini cerita pejuang, 6 pejuang yang melalui penganiayaan ini dan menang. Selamat datang ke forum 10 tahun selepas EO. Saya, moderator anda, Madhavi, untuk malam ini. Dan malam ini kita ada 2 segmen. Segmen pertama ialah kita akan berjumpa dengan 6 kita punya PSM EO6 untuk berbicara dengan mereka. Segmen kedua, kita ada 4 panelis yang akan mengulas mengenai peristiwa EO6 ini. Ya. Jadi kita ke show kita sekarang. Jadi kita nak tahu, okey, bagi penonton yang baru, kita nak tahu bagaimana semua ini bermula. Ya. Okey, 10 tahun yang dahulu. Segala-galanya bermula ketika Bersih 2 diumumkan. Okay, ketika itu Parti Sosialis Malaysia mengumumkan menjalankan satu kempen yang bernama Udahlah Tu Bersaralah. Okay, kita lihat video ringkas perjalanan kempen ini.
PSM is conducting a nationwide campaign. It's called Udahlah Itu Bersaralah. It's basically calling Barisan Nasional to retire. The things which is dominating Malaysian politics these days are things like sex scandals and other issues which we think are not real issues. We wanted to highlight actually the real concerns. Udahlah Tu! Udahlah Tu!
Yes, yeah, I'm telling you later. You all cuba menghasut orang ramai supaya menyertai perhimpunan. Kita syak dan kita percayai you all bersih.
Because this detention is unreasonable, this detention is ridiculous.
We were telling people that, that we support the Bersih rally.
Okey. Jadi, itu yang berlaku ketika kempen. Walaupun Bersih 2 tamat, tapi EO6 kita masih terbelenggu dalam tahanan. Cerita selebihnya, kita akan zoom dengan kita punya 6 EO6 kita hari ini. Jom kita jemput mereka. Halo, Comrade. Okey, jadi actually forum hari ini 29 Julai adalah ulang tahun ke-10 seperti yang kita tahu, dan actually 29 Julai ialah hari pembebasan EO6 kita. Ya, 10 tahun yang dulu. Jadi kita celebrate that day sekarang, ya. Jadi kita pergi dulu dekat dengan kita punya comrade Sugu. Ya, soalan pertama saya tujukan kepada Sugu. Okey, Sugu, kita tahu Sugu pernah kena tahan polis banyak kali. Okey, waktu protes ke, waktu pemaju datang ceroboh tanah ke, okey, pernah kena tahan. Okey, tapi tahanan di bawah EO, Emergency Ordinance ni, ya, dia sama tak? Dan tempat tahanan tu sama macam lokap polis ke? ataupun dan macam mana layanan polis sepanjang tahanan? Boleh terangkan? Unmute. Sugu, unmute. Tolong unmute.
Kawan-kawan. Okey, saya nak sharekan pengalaman lah di kem tahanan ini ya. Okey, boleh nampak? Okey, ini dalam kem itulah, dalam sel itu kem tahanan EO lah, dan juga itu IAC, no, kem tahanan IAC dan juga EO lah. Okey, boleh nampak dalam ada pintu kecil lah, ada satu pintu kecil. Dan tengok toilet, ada satu toilet. Itu tepi macam batas lah. Mereka buat tempat tidur lah, no? Dua tempat adalah. Tapi hanya satu orang boleh tinggal sana lah, no? Dan memang dalam sel ini tak ada pillow, blanket tak ada fan, terlalu panas lah, tak ada fan. Dan juga itu towel pun tak ada tau. Good morning towel sajalah dia bagi kecil. And then macam itu tempat terlalu kecil lah untuk satu orang lah, you know. Itu wall lah, dinding. 4 kaki pun dinding jugalah. Okay, ini keadaan dia. And then itu satu tiap-tiap hari mereka bawa kita keluar lah. Okay, pergi jumpa dengan tempat soal siasatan dan juga itu klinik, dia ada bawa pergi klinik, you know, dia akan keluar kita lah. Tapi 6 kali satu hari mereka gari kita tau. Tiap-tiap hari pun dalam 30 hari dalam, tiap-tiap hari pun mereka gari, tukar gari 6 kali lah. Semasa dia tukar gari, dia keluar kita dengan blindfolder. Dia pakai blindfolder, and then dia tolak kita. Ada shade sana. Mereka bawa pergi ke itu tempat soal siasat lah, no, interrogation tempat. Dia kasih jalan jauh sikit lah, no, bukan dekat tau. Tapi saya nampak itu bangunan dekat saja. Tapi mereka jalan-jalan, dia tolak-tolak. Tak tahulah, bawa blindfolder, memang you tak boleh nampak apa-apa. Dia tolak saja lah, tolak-tolak kita bawa pergi. Satu hari tiap-tiap hari mereka soal siasat pagi 2 jam, petang 2 jam. No, 4 jam lah satu hari, macam tuition lah, sekolah lah, you know. Mereka soal tanya-tanya, soalan semua adalah tiap-tiap hari pun mereka pakai 4 jam untuk soal siasat, you know. Dan kalau kita tengok macam sel kem tahanan ini kita banding lockup, terlalu different tau, complete different lah, you know. Di lockup memang saya banyak kali ada kena tahan lah untuk perjuangan isu-isu petani, isu peneroka bandar, isu pekerja estate, you know, dan juga, you know, medeka, macam-macam saya dah tahan lah, you know. Banyak kali saya dah tahan polis. Saya pun ada banyak pengalaman di lockup semua lah, you know. Tapi tengok camp ini terlalu kecil, and also macam bukan senang boleh terima lah, you know, bukan senang boleh terima. Satu suasana kecil, and then you kena terima lah, apa-apa tak ada fan ke, panas, tiap-tiap hari pun panas. Banyak kali you terpaksa mandi, you know. And then kalau you nak perlu apa-apa, you panggil, you banyak kali kena panggil lah. Dia mari buka itu pintu kecil, saya tadi ada tunjuk lah ini itu pintu kecil lah, pintu kecil, you tengok itu ini pintu kecil lah, you know. Dia luar saja boleh buka tau. You dalam tak boleh buka, kita tak boleh buka, dia kena buka. No, you kena panggil banyak kali lah, baru mereka datang. Minta apa mau 50. Saya pun banyak kali cakap nama saya Sukumaran, tapi mereka tak mau terima tahu. You 50. Pada masa itu saya umur 50 lah. Jadi dia, you know, panggil saya 50. Dan macam bukan boleh senang terima lah itu sel kem tahanan dengan, you know, very complete different lah. Sel, you know, tahanan kem itu dengan lockup. Lockup memang satu lockup, satu sel dalam ramai orang, ada 2-3 orang, kita boleh sembang ke, bincang, apa pun boleh lah. Tapi dalam kem tahanan ini, you satu orang satu sel dah. Complete different lah, you know. Lagi macam layanan polis lah. Layanan polis macam hari pertama lah, semasa saya masuk ke kem tahanan itu, hari pertama pegawai lah, dia duduk terlalu kejam lah, terlalu kejam. Mereka macam jerit, cakap mau pukul saya lah. Saya memang saya ada cakap lah, you pukul saya kah, you seksa saya kah, you ugut saya kah, saya tak ada masalah. Saya cakap, wah dia hati panas, dia marah balik saya. You tengok selalu pun you senyum-senyum saja tau. Dia terlalu hati panas lah, hati panas. Dia pada masa itu dia marah saya tau. You mesti kena, 2 tahun, 4 tahun, 6 tahun dia ugut saya tau. Dia marah, ugut lah, And then the same day saya dapat jumpa dengan peguam saya. And then hari kedua dia tukar orang tau. Itu pegawai semua suruh tukar, lain pegawai mari. Mereka macam soft approach, tapi dia ugut jugalah, ugut. Dalam sel memang saya bukan keliru lah, saya saya ada banyak pengalaman dengan pihak polis lah, banyak kali saya ada tahan, jadi tak ada masalah. Itu masalahnya satu orang dalam satu sel lah, itu memang satu torture besar lah. Bukan senang boleh terima tau. Memang kalau ada undang-undang, you boleh charge kita lah dalam mahkamah tau. Ini satu perkara memang langsung tak boleh terima lah. Tapi memanglah, dua ini keadaan ini saya share, memang masa depan semua orang mesti mau, ada pengalaman. Kalau you nak masuk masalah ini bukan senang lah. I think this is my point lah. Thank you very much.
Thank you Sugu for sharing. And bukan senang untuk melalui perkara solitary confinement Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Tapi untuk pengumuman untuk penonton kita Kalau anda tengah menonton dan anda tengah pernah terlibat dalam kempen EO6, anda boleh share pengalaman anda dalam comment box supaya kita dapat tahu, and kalau you ada gambar boleh share juga, no problem. Dan seterusnya. Okey. Dalam semasa tahanan dalam Ordinan Darurat ni, dalam antara 6 orang ni, 2 orang terpaksa menjalani ujian lie detector test poligraf, iaitu saudara Lecu dengan saudari Saras. So saudara Lecu, soalan seterusnya kepada anda Okey. Boleh saudara Lecu beritahu macam mana ujian poligraf ni dijalankan? Apa perasaan ketika itu dan apa lagi cara yang mereka gunakan polis ini? Dipersilakan.
Okey, salam sejahtera dan salam perjuangan kepada semua orang. Okey, semasa saya di detention center bersama dengan 6 orang itu, so polis itu mula-mula dia orang integrate saya, dia tanya macam-macam soalan lah. Lepas tu satu hari dia datang, dia cakap sekarang saya kena uji polygraph test. So saya pun tak tahu apa itu polygraph test. So saya tanya sama tu pegawai. Okey, dia kata okey, sepanjang soal siasat ini, so kita nak tahu anda ni betul-betul cakap betul ke atau sesuatu yang tidak betul. Saya cakap sepanjang soal siasat ini saya cakap semua betul punya. Kita tak ada sembunyi apa-apa daripada orang. Saya bagi tahu lah. Okey, tak apa. Sekarang kita akan uji polygraph test. So dia dah bagi semua tarikh lah. So hari itu dia bawa saya pergi ke bilik pegawai itu. So dia panggil saya baring dalam satu katil lah, yang katil tinggi sajalah. Lepas tu dia fix dia punya alat-alat tu pada tubuh badan saya lah. So lepas tu dia ada tanya beberapa soalan lah. So, sebelum itu saya tanya pada pegawai itu, so ada apa-apa kesan pada saya, side effect? Dia kata ini tak ada apa-apa, just nak test saja. Adakah awak ni cakap betul atau tak betul? Okey, saya pun setujulah. Dia panggil saya sign satu barang tu, saya sign, dan dia uji saya lah. So mula-mula dia tanya soalan, okey sekarang awak ni ada di Thailand. So saya kata saya bukan di Thailand, saya di Malaysia. Saya cakap macam tu lah. Lepas tu soalan kedua dia tanya, okey sekarang parti awak dapat bantuan ke finance, bantuan kewangan daripada luar negara. Saya cakap sepanjang saya tahu saya tak ada apa-apa bantuan daripada luar negara lah. Okey. Lepas tu dia tanya soalan ketiga. So awak dah pernah pergi ke ke luar negara, kamp komunis lah. Saya cakap saya sepanjang saya tahu saya tak pernah, langsung tak pernah pergi lah. Because saya pun belum pergi ke tempat-tempat mana-mana lah. So itu saja. So lepas tu dia lepas dia tanya banyak soalan lah. So saya pun jawab apa yang saya tahu sepanjang integrate itu soal siasat itu saya selalu bagi tahu sama dia orang lah. Tapi di sini saya ingin tahu satu perkara pada anda yang menonton sekarang. So dalam detention center itu, dalam sel itu, so ada kami rasa tak puas hati lah pasal kita pun seorang dalam satu sel. So kadang-kadang bila itu warden itu dia bawa nasi ke apa, itu dia bawa dalam bungkus tu, dia bagi dalam pintu yang kecil tu tadi yang saudara Sugu kata. So yang bawa dia punya itu, yang getah-getah tu, yang bungkus dalam bungkus makanan itu, saya ambil dia punya getah itu pasal dalam sel itu saya seorang tak tahu nak buat apa. So saya main sajalah, yang ambil getah itu saya hantam pada binding. Hantam setiap kali main lah pasal untuk pastime. Okey, lepas tu saya habis dia punya tu saya ikat dalam gulung, ikat dalam saya punya katil yang tempat tidur itu. Setiap kali dia orang bawa dia punya bungkus makanan itu, saya ambil tu getah, saya buat macam itu. So mengapa saya buat macam itu? Saya nak tahu berapa bilangan hari saya dalam detention center itu. Pasal kita nak tahu berapa hari. Pasal kita pun tak tahu apa nak buat. So ini yang keluar setahu saya buat macam ini. Macam ini sajalah. Tapi betul-betul ini satu sejarah lah untuk setahu saya lah. Okey, itu saja. Thank you.
Terima kasih Lechu. Ya, terpaksa untuk to keep ourselves sane. That is the thing, like be creative. Thank you so much Lechu untuk berkongsi pengalaman tersebut. Ya, dan dalam EO6 ni, dalam 6 orang ini, hanya seorang saja wanita, tahanan wanita, iaitu Comrade Saras. Ya, Comrade Saras, soalan untuk Comrade Saras ialah, Comrade telah alami masalah kesihatan yang sangat teruk sampai terpaksa dikejarkan ke hospital, duduk hospital beberapa hari, ya, dan diberi tekanan mental dari polis. Ya, jadi saya nak tahu apa yang memotivasikan saudari, apa yang memberi semangat kepada Comrade untuk teruskan perjuangan ini walaupun dia mengambil masa selama tak tahu berapa lama waktu ketika itu. Ya, dipersilakan.
Salam perjuangan, hidup rakyat. Sebelum saya mula, saya nak ucapkan tahniah kepada doktor-doktor kontrak yang adakan hartal untuk hapuskan sistem kontrak. Tahniah kepada mereka. Dan saya dengan 5 orang komrad telah ditahan. Pada masa itu kita ditahan, saya rasa amat marah kerana apa kita buat? Kita buat satu kempen untuk kita kata kepada rakyat, kita bagi edar risalah, kita cakap harga barang sudah naik, tiada tanah untuk petani, tiada akta kezaliman, banyak akta kezaliman, kita menghapuskan sebagai 6 tuntutan. Tetapi polis kejar kita dari Perlis dan dia tahan kita. So apabila saya dalam tahanan, macam Sugu kata, itulah tempat kecil. So kita tak ada buku, kita tak beri pen, kita tak bagi paper, apa pun tak ada, akhbar-akhbar apa pun tak ada. Tetapi kita fikir, apa kita buat? PSM selama ini, selama 20 tahun lebih, kita percaya didik rakyat. Sebab kita perlu ada satu rakyat untuk untuk membawa demokrasi. Kalau rakyat tidak didik, tidak empower, so susah. Kita tak boleh harap orang atasan, orang ada kuasa boleh bawa berubah. Sudah 54 tahun masalah rakyat belum selesai. So itulah kita ada buat kempen jerit dengan basikal, basikal dari utara, selatan ke parlimen, hapuskan sistem kesihatan, jangan swastakan, kenaikan petrol, semua kempen. Kita buat kempen ini dengan edaran risalah. So sangat penting. Kita mau rakyat akar umbi faham apa itu perjuangan. Rakyat mesti mau empower. They must be empowered with understanding of the issues. Kita tak boleh diam 5 tahun sekali kita undi, itu sudah habis. Itu tak cukup. Kita mau soal. Siapa datang di power, kita mau soal. So apabila saya dikurung, ditahan, okay, I rasa marah, tetapi saya fikir let it be. Kita mesti mau kita faham ada kita punya komrad luar Parti Sosialis Malaysia, kita akan lawan untuk kebebasan kita dan juga kita mau sehingga hari ini kita mau rakyat belajar, kita mau rakyat understand what is going on. Kita mau people of Malaysia to empower, to overthrow whatever is wrong. Kita tak boleh diam. Walaupun kita dikurung, tapi kita punya kita punya semangat belum habis. Lebih apabila kami keluar dari EO6 penjara, saya lebih understand, lebih dapat semangat untuk bersama dengan rakyat. Apa jua perjuangan kita akan berdepan, dan saya nak ingin ucapkan ribuan terima kasih. Selepas 10 tahun saya nak ucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada seluruh rakyat berjuang bersama Parti Sosialis Malaysia untuk bebaskan kita. Terima kasih. Hidup rakyat, hidup rakyat, hidup demokrasi, hidup sosialis. Terima kasih.
Oh, terima kasih Komrad Saris membara lagi itu semangat, ya. Okay, thank you so much. Keempat, kita ada saudara Congkai, iaitu saudara Congkai ialah anggota aktivis yang berpengalaman yang sudah lama dalam bidang ini. Jadi saudara Congkai, soalan untuk anda ialah, Komrad ialah, reman 7 hari, campur 28 hari di bawah EO, ya, dan tiada interaksi luar kecuali soal siasat, ya. Ini mesti meninggalkan satu impak yang mendalam dalam diri. Okey, boleh saudara Congkai terangkan what is the impact? Apa impact terhadap saudara Congkai dan apa kesan dia? Terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih kepada saudari Madwi. Salam sejahtera kepada semua. Saya rasa peristiwa penangkapan aktivis 30 orang aktivis PSM dan 6 orang di bawah tahanan ditahan di bawah Ordinan Darurat 10 tahun dulu memang satu peristiwa yang bersejarah dan bagi kami termasuk saya yang merupakan salah seorang yang ditahan di bawah Ordinan Darurat. Ini memang satu pengalaman yang menarik dan tidak dapat dilupakanlah. Banyak perkara, ada banyak insiden dan juga banyak perkara yang dilalui masa itu memang meninggalkan banyak memberi banyak impak lah kepada kami yang terlibat dalam proses ini. Contohnya seperti bila penahanan yang pertama yang 7 hari itu di mana satu pihak polis menggunakan satu tuduhan yang sangat serius sebagai alasan untuk membuat remand yang berpanjangan untuk remand untuk tempoh maksimum itu memang sesuatu yang kami tidak jangka pada masa itu. Tetapi bagi saya sedarlah itu memang masa itu digunakan untuk takutkan rakyat cuba untuk menghalang himpunan bersih dan sebagainya. Dan lepas 7 hari, bila 6 orang ya dipanggil di dalam palai polis, kemudian diberita dibebaskan, tapi kami mensyaki lah masa itu ada sesuatu yang tak kenal lah, tetapi tak tahu apa berlaku. Tapi tiba-tiba semua orang ditangkap semula, macam satu adegan filem aksi, ditangkap semula oleh polis di luar just di pintu masuk balai polis itu, dan dibawa ke Kuala Lumpur dan disimpan ataupun dikurung dalam satu pusat tahanan yang dirahsiakan tempatnya, di mana kami digelapkan, ditutup mata kami semasa kami dibawa di situ. So pada masa itu saya rasa macam dicolek lah oleh orang yang tidak tahu yang juga tidak tahu apakah layanan akan diterima pada masa itu. Memang satu pengalaman yang menarik. Tetapi dalam sepanjang penahanan saya tidak pernah tanya mana-mana anggota polis, sama ada orang yang membawa saya ataupun semasa soal siasat. Saya tidak pernah tanya kepada mereka bila saya akan dibebaskan. Sebab saya tahu penahanan itu adalah bertujuan politik untuk takutkan rakyat. Dan saya tahu semua anggota polis yang saya bertemu pada masa itu tak ada kuasa untuk tentukan bila saya dan juga kawan-kawan saya akan dibebaskan. Dan juga saya pada masa itu saya yakin hanya kawan-kawan saya di luar, aktivis-aktivis dan juga gerakan rakyat di luar, itu yang memang boleh, yang hanya kuasa rakyat yang mampu untuk bebaskan tahanan politik lah. So itu yang kepercayaan saya pada masa itulah, di mana ia terbukti benar, di mana apabila ditahan di bawah Ordinan Darurat tak sampai sebulan kami telah dibebaskan lah. So ini memang adalah hasil daripada kuasa rakyat yang membebaskan kami 6 orang tahanan di bawah Ordinan Darurat lah. Jadi impact bagi saya rasa impact yang positif adalah dia memberi satu keyakinan kepada saya untuk teruskan perjuangan inilah. Kerana hanya daripada pengalaman penahanan dan pembebasan itu, dia memberi satu keyakinan kepada saya bahawa hanya kuasa rakyat dapat mendesak untuk satu perubahan lah. Itu saja perkongsian saya. Ada banyak, tetapi ini sajalah yang saya nak kongsikan. Dan juga pada masa itu saya memang berterima kasih kepada semua orang yang terlibat dalam kempen bersih dan juga kempen menuntut pembebasan tahanan politik di bawah Ordinan Darurat. Okay, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Saudara Chongkai. Ya, keluar sebagai orang yang lebih berani, lebih yakin, lebih strong. Ya, so sangat bagus. Terima kasih untuk that sharing ya. Dan orang kelima, iaitu tahanan paling muda dalam di antara EO6 yang ketika itu baru 25 tahun, Saudara Sarit Babu. Ya, Sarit Babu, kita tahu ketika itu saudara ialah seorang aktivis muda, seorang guru tuition yang ada banyak anak murid, ya, dan juga masih tengah belajar di pengajian tinggi ya. Dan sebab penahanan ini, pengajian anda komrad telah pun tergendala untuk satu bulan, ya, atau ya 1 bulan. Jadi apakah perasaan komrad bila dibebaskan pada hari pembebasan tersebut? Ya, apa perasaan dan apa yang berlaku ketika itu? Okey, boleh terangkan?
Baik, terima kasih kepada saudari. Okey, sebelum saya mengambil kesempatan hari ini untuk melaungkan bebas sara yang ditahan pada hari ini di bawah akta hasutan ya. So saya harap pihak polis, saya dengan sekeras-kerasnya menggesa bahawa pihak polis membebaskan saudari Sarah daripada tahanan. Okey, so kalau kita tengok detik-detik terakhir yang kita dalam tahanan pada hari itu, memang saya sendiri tak percaya sama adakah kita nak dibebaskan, sebab banyak siri drama yang kita dapat lihat sepanjang tahanan ini, digari semula dan dibawa ke Kuala Lumpur dan di dalam pusat tahanan lebih 30 hari. So maka hari terakhir itu memang kita dibawa ke lock-up Jinjang. Lepas tu kita tertanya-tanya apa yang akan dilakukan, apa yang nak berlaku. Sama adakah kita nak digari semula? Adakah kita nak buang daerah? Sebab saya, Dr. Kumar dan Saudari Saras dibawa sekali. Digari dan dibawa sekali dengan blindfolded. So adakah kami nak dibuang daerah sebab kami ni di kawasan yang sama, Ipoh. So banyak persoalan yang timbul dalam perasaan saya pada masa itu. So maka kami dibawa ke Balai Polis Jinjang dan dibawa ke bilik mesyuarat tersebut. Setelah ke-6 EO6 dah sampai di sana, salah seorang pihak polis atasan mengumumkan kami akan dibebaskan tanpa syarat. Betul ke? So memang saya bertanya, memang saya tak percaya sama ada saya ni sudah dibebaskan. Kami 6 komrad sudah dibebaskan. So memang tak percaya. Tak sampai 5 minit selepas saya jumpa saudara Arul, Komrad Arul, Komrad Selvam bersama peguam-peguam kita masuk ke dalam bilik mesyuarat tu, baru saya percaya di mana kami 6 EO6 telah dibebaskan. Itulah detik yang saya dapat, saya memang tak boleh imagine sampai sekarang detik itu. Selepas itu kami dibawa ke Selangor Chinese Assembly Hall oleh komrad kami, dan di sana pula satu lagi yang memang satu lagi bersejarah, iaitu saya dapat lihat di mana lebih beratus-ratus orang termasuk daripada parti politik lain, pemimpin parti politik lain, komrad-komrad PSM yang lain, rakan-rakan daripada NGO, rakan-rakan perjuangan, banyak kawan-kawan kita memang berkumpul menunggu ketibaan kita pada hari pembebasan tersebut. So memang masa yang detik terakhir itu memang saya dapat dirasahi dengan perasaan gembira sekali, dan memang sekali lagi saya sedar bahawa pembebasan kami EO6 tidak nyata tanpa desakan perjuangan kuasa maha besar, iaitu kuasa rakyat. So itulah yang saya dapat lihat daripada perjuangan ini. Dan apabila saudari tanya tadi tentang pelajaran saya, memang betul, iaitu saya risau, sebab saya memang risau, bimbang, sebab tidak lama selepas kempen yang kita adakan itu, saya perlu menduduki peperiksaan yang kali pertama, di mana saya telah mengambil kursus jurisprudence di Fakulti Undang-Undang Universiti Malaya. So pada masa itu, semasa saya di Butterworth, kita salah seorang penguasa Pesuruhanjaya Suakam telah melawat kita. So saya telah berkongsi dengan beliau di mana saya mengalami situasi sebegini, dan harap dapat boleh berlaku sesuatu lah, sama ada pelajaran saya tidak tergendala dan dapat diteruskan semula lah. So selepas saya dibebaskan, baru saya tahu di mana naib pengurusi Suakam, iaitu Profesor Dato' Dr. Kau Lekti, merupakan dekan Fakulti Undang-Undang, dan saya menulis surat kepada beliau, dan saya tidak menghadapi apa-apa masalah, dan saya dapat teruskan belajar di sana dan tanpa sebarang masalah, dan Universiti Malaya memberikan saya peluang untuk mengambil peperiksaan pada SEM yang akan datang. So ini yang berlakulah yang saya dapat kongsikan pada hari ini dengan para penonton sekalian.
Thank you. Terima kasih Saudara Babu. And saya masih ingat lagi KL Chinese Assembly Hall ketika itu untuk buat press conference. Nak masuk bilik memang penuh, tak ada tempat. Ya, sesak, penuh sesak.
Betul.
Tapi orang tak komplain, memang sangat happy. Ya, so itu memang adalah satu detik-detik yang sangat manis yang memang saya pun tak dapat lupakan. Alright, the last one, not the least, dalam kumpulan dalam EO6 ini ialah Dr. Jayakumar. Ya. So Dr. Jayakumar, dalam 28 hari ini dengan soal siasat yang bertubi-tubi, dengan beratus pages of kertas soal siasat, tell me, apa yang perkara yang paling membimbangkan untuk Dr. Kumar?
Okay, thank you Madhavi. Actually, apa yang saya sangat takut ialah polis tidak jujur. Mereka tidak bersikap profesional. Mereka tidak cuba nak dapat tahu apa yang benar-benar berlaku. Tapi ini semua macam menjadi satu usaha untuk set up kumpulan EO6 ini sebagai satu kumpulan yang ekstrim. Kerana saya tahu pada masa itu polis pun tahulah kita ini bukan ekstremis kerana mereka sudah pantau kita selama 20 tahun sebelum itu, sebagai illegal, sebagai PSM. Dia tahu memang PSM tak pernah pakai kekerasan, pukul orang ke, rosakkan barangan pemaju ke apa, tidak. Tapi saya tahu, saya ingat, mungkin dia pakai kita untuk hentikan bersih. So saya tunggu selepas bersih itu, mungkin dia akan lepaskan EO6. Tapi mereka tak buat. Dan lepas tu dia bawa pada saya satu laporan. Dia temu juga dengan saya, interrogation itu, dia bawa satu laporan, 85 muka surat. Dan ada banyak putar belik lah. Dia pakai apa-apa penjelasan saya, nanti dia kaitkan, buat satu cerita. Macam kita ini sebahagian dalam jaringan komunis antarabangsa. Kita sedang cadangkan untuk adakan perjuangan bersenjata di Malaysia. Kita nak guling kerajaan dengan cara kekerasan. Ini semua pembohongan. Tapi saya takut, kerana kita dalam kita bercakap. So, saya takut dia akan pakai pembohongan ini untuk satu, tahan 6 orang kami untuk 2 tahun. Lagi untuk hancurkan parti di luar, hancurkan PSM, tahan lebih ramai orang mengatakan mereka semua komunis. Pakai kesempatan itu untuk pecahkan, gagalkan gerakan reformasi. So itu yang ketakutan saya. So itulah sebabnya saya ambil keputusan untuk buat mogok lapar. Kerana saya tahu polis tak dengar, polis tak mau tahu. Dia ikut skrip yang diberi oleh IGP ke pada mereka untuk ikut. So apa yang kita kata semua was no use. Mereka hanya nak masukkan itu cerita dalam skrip yang sedia ada. Dan saya sedih sampai sekarang ini pun polis masih tak profesional. Kerana kita bagi polis kuasa untuk jaga keselamatan untuk negara, tapi mereka masih main politik. Macam hari ini, tahan Sarah. Untuk apa? Sarah daripada misi solidariti, mereka ada beberapa tuntutan berkaitan dengan kerajaan, dia ada bantahan, dia ada kritikan. What's wrong with that? Mana boleh tangkap macam itu? Pemuda yang ambil berat terhadap isu-isu negara harus dipuji, harus digalak, harus dihargai. Bukan dibuli macam ini. So that's the problem with the police lah. Sampai sekarang pun saya tak nampak mereka jadi profesional. So itulah masalah. Thanks Madhuri.
Terima kasih Dr. Kumar dan kawan-kawan EO6. Sebab semangat you yang sangat kental di dalam tahanan itu yang memberi semangat lagi kepada orang-orang yang di luar untuk memperjuangkan pembebasan kawan-kawan semua yang dalam tahanan. Okey, jadi ini segmen 1 dah tamat dekat sini dan kita move on kepada segmen kedua. Ya, segmen kedua kita lihat apa yang berlaku di luar ketika EO6 dalam tahanan. Ya. Dan kita ada 4 panelis yang hebat-hebat, ialah antara mereka ialah Datuk Ambiga, kita ada peguam Edmund Bond, dan aktivis lama yang berpengalaman Prema Devraj, dan yang bukan yang tidak asing lagi ialah saudara Arul, ya. Jadi yang for the first one, ya, kita ada Datuk Ambiga tak dapat hadir, tapi jangan risau. Kita ada pesanan beliau mengenai melalui rakaman ini.
We just celebrated the 10th anniversary of Bersih 2.0. But what people forget is that it is also the 10th anniversary of the incarceration of the EO6, famously called the EO6. In June, July of 2011, before the Bersih rally, the Bersih rally was looming because that was to take place on the 9th of July 2011. In June, July of that year, 6 members of the Central Committee of PSM were arrested together with others. They were released, but these 6 were re-arrested and detained under the infamous emergency ordinance on that most dubious of grounds called waging war against the king. It was reported, and this will shock all those who know Dr. Jayakumar, it was reported that Dr. Jayakumar was involved with foreign elements and had subversive tendencies. Dr. Jayakumar, a man and a group and a party who has dedicated their lives in service of the weak and the oppressed. PSM always put their own personal safeties on the line to help the poor and downtrodden. Many of us who have worked with PSM can vouch for that. And this is the group, they say, were waging war against the king. Those charged were Dr. Jayakumar, or rather those detained under the EO were Dr. Jayakumar, M. Saraswati, R. Sarat Babu, A.P. Lakshmanan, Chu Chonkai, and M. Sugumaran. How did they wage this war? They waged it with posters and leaflets, including Bersih leaflets. And not against the king. They did it to uphold justice, as PSM always has. The EO6 were one of the first major casualties of the Bersih rally. It was an act of pure intimidation. There's no doubt in my mind that it was done with the intention of putting people off the Bersih rally. They wanted to show how strong they were and what they were capable of doing. But what I was so utterly appalled by were the conditions under which the EO6 were held. It was inhumane, solitary confinement, disgusting conditions, handcuffs even when in hospital. You know, I remember asking Saras after that incident, Saras, tell us what those conditions were like. How did you suffer? And she said, Ambiga, it's something I better not say because you will be so shocked by the way in which we were treated. I remember before the Bersih rally because I was getting very, very concerned at the way they were treated, the EO6 were treated in detention. And I remember sending a message to Dr. Jayakumar asking if we should hold back on the rally for a while. Should we postpone it? Should we hold back? Should we go ahead? The resounding response from Dr. Jayakumar and the EO6 was, go ahead, proceed with the rally. That was their sacrifice. They were suffering, but they were prepared to suffer, to uphold the rights of the people, to freedom of assembly, and for pushing for necessary reforms. Their release came 20 days after the Bursay rally on the 9th. In other words, they were released, kept for another 20 days after the Bursay rally. And night after night, Arul being the organizer and all those in PSM who organized vigils, night after night, there were vigils because people were utterly shocked at the continued incarceration of the EO6. And on his release, what did Dr. Jayakumar say? He said, and I'm quoting from reports from the Sun, he said, it is because of the people we are out today. And the report said that Dr. Jayakumar appeared slightly tired but alert and said that the party would discuss with its coalition partners to decide on the next course of action, which includes legal proceedings. They were not beaten by this incarceration. When asked about the conditions that Dr. Jayakumar was detained under, he said, I was not physically tortured. It was more of mental torture, he said, of his solitary confinement. He had minimal contact with family members, and legal advisors were not allowed. Saraswati said she had suffered chest pains while she was detained and was sent to the hospital for treatment. She said, they sent me to the hospital on July 15th for a checkup, and I was taken aback by the detention area. Then I was warded on July 17th for 3 days. However, she lamented that she was handcuffed and was only freed when she needed to use the bathroom and during meal times. Another detainee, Sukumaran, said he was ordered to sing during an interrogation by the police. They apparently knew I was a good singer, so I sang a few Tamil songs, he said jokingly. Now, why is it important that we remember this day? In fact, I would say it is something we must never forget. It is important to remember all the sacrifices made by ordinary people for the Bursay rally, for the people. And it is also important to remember that this kind of inhumanity and cruelty still continues today. EO is not called EO anymore, maybe, but we have SOSMA, we have so many other things. Arrests are constantly being held in violation of our fundamental rights. The EO was an abysmal piece of legislation, but it has been substituted by other legislation. So we cannot relax. That is why it is important not just to commemorate these 6 brave people, but also to honor their sacrifice and to remember until these sorts of oppressive behavior by the government of the day stops, we have to continue fighting. And I think that is the message I have for all of us today, i.e., we're not out of the woods. This pandemic has in fact brought out
Okay, alright. Saya minta maaf pasal saya rasa ada some technical glitches there. Walaupun suara Dato' Ambika sangat jelas, tapi mungkin image dia not that great. So harap maaf on that error. Okay, dan before kita move on kepada panelis seterusnya, okay, kalau kita lihat ketika penahanan oleh di kumpulan utara dan selatan pada 25 hari bulan, actually kita ada a big group of lawyers yang bertungkus lumus datang untuk membantu dengan dengan jaminan dekat polis, for the legal advice and everything. Jadi yang antara yang kita dapat paparkan di skrin ialah ini adalah peguam-peguam yang dari Pulau Pinang, dari KL yang turun membantu kita PSM untuk ketika di balai polis ataupun di mahkamah. Ya. Dan kita juga ada panelis yang kedua ialah kita ada saudara Edmund Bond, iaitu peguam EO6 yang akan berikan pandangan beliau, tapi sebelum itu a short video clip.
Kami juga menyatakan bahawa ini tidak seharusnya berlaku kerana alasan yang satu alasan saja, only one reason, kerana enam ini ditahan adalah kerana bersih pada 9 Julai 2011. So sebenarnya kami menyatakan hari ini memohon jasa baik mahkamah untuk menimbangkan alasan ini saja. Dan boleh menimbangkan atas affidavit, tak perlu affidavit lain. Kerana 9 Julai dah habis.
Okay, alright. Thank you. Hai, Saudara Edmund, apa khabar?
Khabar baik. Thank you.
Okay. Saudara Edmund, kita tahu kita just want to look from the legal aspect Kita tahu tuduhan yang dilemparkan terhadap EO6 kita adalah sangat berat. Actually yang 30 orang pun berat juga waging war against the Agong. But this is tuduhan tu yang sangat-sangat berat. Jadi apa yang kita boleh rumuskan in that sense dalam penahanan EO6 ni dari kacamata undang-undang? Is it fair?
Jangan percaya apa kerajaan atau pihak polis selalu menyatakan. Don't trust what the government and the authorities would say. I think that's the first lesson. Ini ajaran pertama. Kerana jika kita cuba mengingati kembali, masa itu terdapat lontaran pengataan bahawa EO6 ini dan kumpulan yang telah naik bas untuk membuat ceramah, semua ini cuba memprejudiskan atau menggunakan kekasaran, secret weapons. There was an attempt to, I think, try and revive Marxist or communist ideology. And so all that kind of nonsense that was in the news, pihak polis menyatakan ingin overthrow the government dengan menggunakan violence dan semua itu. Dan apabila kita sebenarnya sebagai, walaupun kita tahu PSM bukan macam ni, kawan-kawan bukan macam ni, tetapi bila kita baca, and you can imagine rakyat jelata bila dia baca, dia tak tahu and they don't know anyone involved, dia akan fikir oh ya, pihak polis mungkin betul. Tetapi apabila kita memfailkan kes habeas corpus ni dan melihat seperti yang ditunjukkan dalam video, saya pun dah lama tak ingat, tapi seperti yang ditunjukkan dalam video, apabila kita pergi ke mahkamah, isu di hadapan mahkamah hanya berkenaan sama ada EO6 ni yang menolong untuk menyebarkan dan cuba mendapatkan ramai orang untuk menyokong bersih ni adalah perbuatan yang ingin mendatangkan ancaman kepada negara. So, isu violence against the state and isu bersih ni berlainan. Dan ajaran yang penting bagi saya dalam isu ini adalah walau apapun writ habeas corpus ni telah diletak dalam constitution dan dalam undang-undang untuk digunakan. Dan saya tahu bahawa pihak polis sekarang dan dulu juga selalu cuba meminta keluarga-keluarga yang orang yang ditahan supaya jangan file habeas corpus, jangan file habeas corpus. Ini salah. So ajaran saya dan saya mengatakan bahawa sampai sekarang hari ini kita mesti terus memfailkan habeas corpus bagi kes-kes di mana penahanannya tak ada alasan, poka, sosma, supaya kita meletakkan beban ke atas pihak detaining authority, polis, untuk cuba menjustifikasikan mengapa tahanan tersebut telah dibuat. Dan keduanya, jika kita melihat, kita tahulah penggunaan EO ni sangat memudaratkan dan sangat tak adil, kerana pihak polis dan kemudiannya kerajaan boleh memenjarakan seseorang tanpa bicara dan tanpa memberi bukti di mahkamah dan di luar untuk orang membuat keputusannya sendiri. So jadi dalam EO juga, dalam ISA dulu terdapat satu advisory board yang sampai sekarang jika kita pergi ke advisory board hearing, IO tak akan memberi keterangan. Dia akan kata semua ini adalah sulit. Ini adalah, saya akan hanya memberikan alasan-alasan yang general mengapa saya menahan seseorang, dan kita tak tahu bagaimana untuk membela pengatan-pengatan yang menjustifikasikan penahanan tersebut. Dan bagi saya juga ajaran yang ketiga bagi isu ini dari segi undang-undang adalah bahawa proses undang-undang hanya mesti dilihat sebagai hanya salah satu, one of the means, salah satu cara untuk mendapatkan keadilan. We cannot just rely on the system, because sistem keadilan, sistem mahkamah mempunyai banyak faktor-faktor yang mungkin tidak memihak kepada kami. Seperti kita lihat dalam kes ni, kita telah memfailkan affidavit, tetapi apabila datang ke hari perbicaraan, Jabatan Peguam Negara memohon penangguhan kerana tak cukup masa untuk memfailkan affidavit jawapan. Walaupun bagi habeas corpus, kerajaan sendiri mesti sudah sedia dengan alasan-alasan dan nas undang-undang mengapa tahanan tersebut dibuat. So in India, burden is on the detaining authorities. Di Malaysia nampaknya burden adalah terletak atas peguam-peguam bagi orang yang ditahan. Dan ini sangat tidak adil kerana kita mesti diberikan fakta dan justifikasi mengapa tahanan tersebut telah dibuat.
Okay, thank you Saudara Edmund for that very insight. 10 tahun dahulu, even though 10 years ago, even until now, we know that arrest to intimidate activists masih berlaku hari ini and few days ago as well. Dan of course sekarang EO sudah tak ada. Dibatalkan beberapa hari yang lalu. Terima kasih Saudara Edmund. I know you work day and night during the EO time lah. Oh my god. Tough times. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, the next one. Apa yang Saudara Edmund katakan tadi ialah we cannot depend on the judiciary saja. Perundangan itu satu kaki saja. Lagi satu, turun jalan raya dan sokongan di luar. How much pressure we can give dekat luar. Dan dengan bersama kita ada saudari Prema Devraj, aktivis yang sangat berpengalaman dan juga ahli keluarga kepada Dr. Jayakumar lah. Sebelum kita move on, a short video clip on this.
How can it be? How can it be that rapists, murderers, drug dealers, child abductors and human traffickers can roam freely in the streets, yet the PSM-6 remain in detention? How can it be that fascist and racist politicians can continue to lie, incite, threaten and bully, yet the PSM-6 remain in detention?
Okay, that's Prema 10 years ago, reading the poem in front of the big crowd. Okay, actually Prema, you were there in Penang when the kumpulan utara dekat sana yang kena tahan. And then you are helping with the with the lawyers, with the families, So boleh tak beritahu actually apa reaksi family bila mereka dapat tahu penahanan tentang penahanan EO6 ni? And then actually bagaimana mereka mengharungi mengharungi keadaan tersebut sehingga hari pembebasan mereka? Boleh terangkan?
Okay. A lot of people talk about the arrest of the EO6, but it started a lot earlier. On the 25th of June, the families were already subject to, state intimidation by the arrest of the northern team. And, they were detained at Kepala Batas station overnight and also in 3 other police stations. So families were already facing that difficulty. And nobody was prepared for what happened the following day when they went into court for remand hearing. And that was a big shock to everybody. The police presence, the outrageous allegations, the treatment of the people in detention, being detained, and then also everything in the press, which was being said, which were, clearly untrue. So the trauma, if I can call it the trauma of the family, of the difficulty of the families, began during that week in remand when people were in remand. So by the time the day 7 came, which was the day the EO6 were apparently released and then subsequently rearrested, families were already having faced 1 week of, uncertainty of traveling from Perak to Penang, from trying to figure out what was happening. And then they had this, this EO6, which came out of nowhere. But when we looked at the charges, it was very clear what the intent of the government was at that point. So families had to deal with, some people were in KL, families of the EO6 in KL, they had to look at how to handle situations there. And also there were families from Perak whose family members were still being detained under remand in Penang. So for the PSM team, there were 2 sets of things going on at the same time. And I think when you look at how did families actually cope with the situation, and I think very clearly it is the solidarity and the support shown by so many people throughout this entire period. So who were those around the family? Yes, the PSM team were there, the ones who were not arrested, the ones who were outside, and they worked night and day. I don't think they slept. And they always kept the families informed of what was happening. Then we had the EO6 people themselves, when we were allowed to visit them for short periods of time, we could see that, no matter what they faced in detention, mereka berani. And if they could be brave and surviving what was inside there, we as family members could be brave and carry on the campaign for their release outside. And then there was all these other people who were helping and supporting the campaign for the release of the EO6 in so many ways. As your slide showed earlier, there were so many lawyers who were involved. And I just want to give a shout out to 3 women lawyers, Agatha Fu, Karen Lai, and Lim Ka-ching. They were there from the 25th of June. That night itself, we were all standing outside the Balai Police. And then so many lawyers from the LAC, and then the lawyers in KL and the criminal lawyers who were involved, including the late Datuk Prabhakaran, who was there. So yes, the lawyers played, a tremendous part in fighting the cause that way. But more than that, there were the civil society groups. In Penang, there was Aliran, there was Swaram, there were all sorts of groups. And people just turned up to the courts. I mean, we went to court so many times in Penang. We went to court also in KL. And it was amazing that people, came and stood with us outside the courtroom, telling us not to give up. So that was wonderful, and even doctors wrote petitions, people wrote articles. And so it was very nice to see at that point, after reading all the kind of propaganda in the mainstream press and the national news, it was great to see alternative narratives coming out in online media. There was also support from the political parties. PAS, for example, were very helpful to families who were being harassed by a gang of motorcyclists outside the Kapala Bata station one night, and we had relied on them to help us. PRM handled food for the families one day when they were in court. That's a lot of food. Then we had, PKR and DAP politicians speaking out, asking for the release of the EO6. So, everybody sort of helped, and some of them visited the EO6. And there were just ordinary people who were involved. Apart from people coming and standing with us outside the courts, they may not have been part of a human rights NGO, but the kindness of for example, we had to raise bail at some point for those arrested, and it was 8,000 per person. And the Maybank officer, I will never forget to this day how kind they were. There were 2 of them who helped us manage the whole thing so that we could get people out in time. And people were also willing to lend us money. We had to raise almost 180,000 ringgit in just a matter of a few hours. It seems to be easier now, but it was quite difficult then. But so people helped that way. We also had the kindness of strangers. Sometimes I would find myself, if I was traveling to KL for a family visit, people would come up to me in the airport and give solidarity messages and inquire about other families and how PSM was doing. So it became a shared struggle. It wasn't just the EO6 sitting inside there and PSM trying to get them out. It became a shared struggle which so many people took part in, and I think that really helped the families draw strength from that and to carry on the campaign, till people were eventually released and charges were dropped. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prema. That's such a beautiful sharing, and heart touching to know that everybody came together untuk pembebasan EO6 kita. Dan itulah yang sangat unik ya, actually dalam kempen pembebasan EO6 itu yang unik. Yang orang biasa yang tak kenal PSM, yang tak kenal Dr. Kumar ataupun tak kenal siapa-siapa, turun datang ke vigil setiap malam, come to the court, come to the in front Bukit Aman, Brickfields untuk buat vigil. Tak kenal tapi bagi sokongan. Ya. Jadi begitu powerful actually the campaign yang diketuai oleh saudara Arul dan PSM untuk bagi boost kepada Kuasa. Kuasa Rakyat memang helped it, but who boosted it is I think mainly the campaign. So Arul, timbalan kita ada Arul, timbalan pengurusi Parti Sosialis Malaysia dengan kita. So Arul, what is so special about this campaign? How we manage to pull this through? A tough battle, but we managed to pull through brilliantly. Over to you. You are muted.
Thank you, Madhavi. Thank you, Siva, and then EO6, Edmund Bond, Prema. If I start thanking everybody, we won't have enough time. Okay, I think this campaign, basically there is four major time frame lah. The first is between 25th until the 2nd July. This is the first phase. This is the one 25th to the 2nd. It is actually quite a serious phase because this was the time people were detained in 4 places: IPK, Kepala Batas, Butterworth and Sungai Dua. And then in KL we had Romeo Castillo from Philippines. We had a Korean lady, Song Min Yong. So it was a situation where it was a very tough situation. 25th to 2nd July, and the whole campaign partly in KL, but the bigger campaign was in Penang, And we were very thankful for Aliran lah. Aliran was our temporary HQ during that time. The second phase is 2nd July. 2nd July, Bersih was declared unlawful, illegal. 2nd July juga, EO6 was arrested. Okay? And then, so the second phase I would say 2nd July till 9 July, until Bersih lah. Bersih was on 9 July. One interesting thing during that period was, Ambiga had a meeting with the king, and a few NGOs came and met us. They said, can we put a condition that we will not go on with we will not go on with Bersih rally unless they release the EO6. So PSM decided at that time to come up with a statement, no plea bargaining, So I went to the Bersih meeting, I told them that the 6, actually you couldn't really meet the 6 at that time. I said the 6 would have wished they shouldn't be used to stop the rally. The rally should go on, The second phase will be 10 July to 22nd July. Why 22nd July? Because 22nd July was the habeas corpus hearing, And in that hearing especially, what was I think a big problem during that hearing was the court said the next hearing date is 15th August now. And then PSM came up with a statement saying, we have more faith in the Rakyat. Basically, until the 22nd July, there is some hope from the legal side lah. Lawyers did a great job, but then we now have to convince that the fight is going to be on the street. So that is the third phase lah, 10 July to 22nd July, the legal 22nd July and onwards, And I think we knew 30th, we knew 2nd of August will be 1 month. And the first phase of EO is in the 60 days, within 30 days, they will do a review lah. So we were trying to do all the campaign to get the EO6 release by 30 days. If it went beyond 30 days, I really don't know whether we will have the stamina lah. Honestly speaking, So, just let me go into some of the main things the party did. Firstly, one must recognize this is really a UMNO conspiracy. Why I say UMNO conspiracy is, on the 25th, somewhere around, just before we got arrested about 3 o'clock, I received a phone call from a Keadilan member. He said, Arul, are you in the bus? I said, yes. Are you in the north? In the bus, is your bus somewhere in the north? I said, no. Why? I asked him. He said, we are all, I'm in an UMNO group, they have asked us to lodge a police report telling these buses are carrying some kind of arms,
senjata. So they're asking us and they're planning an ISA kind of arrest. So I didn't take it seriously, of course. But I called Kumar, Kumar, is your bus in the north okay, Kumar? Kumar says, yeah, everything looks okay, fine, Few hours later, 1-2 hours later, our bus got stopped, their bus got stopped. I think rest of you know what happened. So it was clearly a conspiracy, because I remember one of my relatives, was a policeman, told me, one day, they were all told to lock up the police station. Why? They said that PSM is going to go into the police station, rob the police station, take the arms. So the government conspiracy was so high. That's the part about the conspiracy. The second important thing is the party stand. I think in most of the cases, always the golongan kiri being labeled communist is nothing new. They used in the 69, during the 69 emergency confrontation, they used Operasi Lalang, they used. So they're using a communist label to a socialist party is not new. But what is different is all the previous socialist party, the minute they call you communist, the party will be under attack. The leaders will be arrested. People will go underground. PSM was completely different because that is, I think, where there's some difference Because the day when Kumar and half of the Central Committee got arrested in Penang, we had a CC meeting. Nazir Selvamal was there. First question we put to the CC is, should we stay low or should we fight back the propaganda? Of course, immediately, because Nazir and Selvam, kaki konfrontasi, they say, let's confront. So the very next day, we went to the press conference carrying Fidel Castro Mahathir's photo. You can see in the clip, Razak and Mao Zedong, Najib and Hu Jintao and with Wang Zhenghao, So we had all this photo in our press conference. It was amazing because the media never asked us any question because they never believed the government propaganda. So the very next day we fought, and then we started to have exhibition of all the communist books. In Chinese Assembly Hall, even in Perak, we had exhibition all the communist books. And then we also came up with all the meetings which UMNO had with the Vietnam Communist Party. So as far as the propaganda war was we had an exhibition of t-shirts of Ho Chi Minh, Mao Zedong, Che Guevara, and all that, Rashid Mahidin and all that, So propaganda-wise, the government propaganda didn't work. And very important thing we did was, firstly is, we decided to fight. Second thing, there were 3 people appointed. I cannot mention their name here, but in case all of us get arrested next round, the second part of PSM people get arrested, party get dissolved, then we've told these 3 people to revive the party. Look at how you can revive the party when you're no more registered. The 3 people were told to stay low, don't make so much noise. So the 3 people were there. We immediately got Kogila to be the international coordinator because Chunkai. So we did a very strong international campaign. And Bersih International really assisted because Bersih is a massive, the Bersih too was a massive international thing, So when Najib went to see the Queen, they were telling the Queen was wearing yellow, And then there were protests all over in Australia, in England, and all that, So and I think and then we also carried website. In our website we said Communists for Dummies. We want to explain, So we use our website to explain to people what is communism, what is socialism, and all that And we did a lot of stunt On 18th of July, Nazir, myself, we went with the Central Committee. We said we are here to surrender. We informed the media, Central Committee here to surrender to the police. So everyone thought something going to happen, So we always put the state in a defensive position, And we took the attack line. So I think that was a very significant difference how PSM and the previous left parties handled it. The fourth main issue I wanted to highlight was, one very good thing is, we had a very good missionary. I really thank the missionary because lucky, a lot of people didn't get arrested, Okay, and sorry, another thing about the propaganda. One big mistake the police did is arresting Dr. Kumar. Because Dr. Kumar got this Gandhi kind of look, outlook in the public. So imagine if Dr. Kumar was not arrested, and only the 5 people, they would have portrayed them as some underground communist people, But because Kumar was arrested, a lot of people, church had a campaign. 176 doctors signed a petition, this fellow is a good doctor. A lot of people came up, a lot of profession came up, So, for the police, mistake is don't arrest. That's a mistake the police made, arresting Kumar. So, it all helped in the propaganda. And then talking about missionary, lucky some of the people didn't get arrested. That means lucky that people like Kati, Nagin, Nathan, some of the key people didn't get arrested. The CDC team, the one in Kajang, one in South, lucky the South team didn't get arrested. So we had a strong South team, the CDC team, like people like Madhavi, Nalini, Nitya, a lot of people like Kogi, Lechmi, the Southern team, Nazarene, okay, very played a critical role, okay, and of course in Penang, Chris and all that, okay, and every day night at 11 o'clock night we'll have meetings, and that time there was a notion that we are become like during war times we are very undemocratic, so like we are like in the arm like a military, everyone was fighting. So when someone asks me, Arul, when do you want it? I'll say today. So people start asking for deadlines because we were working like that. And very interestingly, and that time was the era, no WhatsApp, we used SMS. We had 26 people initially. Each 26 people, with them will have 10 to 15 names. They will send updates, at least 2 to 3 times a day, So it was a massive public, and at the height of it, we had 600 messages going every 4 hours. We did a Twitter campaign, we had a strong press campaign, daily visuals were, I think, havoc. The police once called me, the special branch told me, Saudara Arul, we cannot keep pace with you all, everywhere you all are. So I said, please follow our website. You want to follow us, because we were, and there were daily updates. So the missionary was very good, okay, missionary was very good, and a lot of other people helped us. A lot of volunteers came into it. Another thing I think, the fifth point I want to raise is we were always one step ahead of the, because of our own experience in GMI, like my experience with Gerakan Mansukan ISA, we have some advantage. Number one is our family members are actually strong family members. They will always be with us. They won't listen to the SB, So when we ask them to visit the detainees, we ask them to wear the EO6 t-shirt, wear the badge and all that, So, and they have a briefing before they go and meet the detainees. What to talk, how to talk, what positive things to tell, And we know everything is recorded by the police. So, in other scenarios, what people will advise is, when you go and speak to the detainees, be very careful because they are recording it. We gave the completely opposite this one. Because they are recording it, we told them to tell, because whatever our family members are saying, they're actually telling to the police. I remember when visit to Chunkai, suddenly the special branch told me, Arul, you want to see him, you can see him. So I thought about it. Why suddenly they are allowing me to see Chunkai? Definitely because they wanted to hear what is our plan. So I remember telling Chunkai, we are going to do a massive gathering, Chunkai, on the, it's going to be massive, big gathering we're going to do, So we actually were always one step. Another thing is, Selvam always tell me, never listen to the detainees inside. We know Dr. Kumar very anxious, he was writing memorandum. He was saying, take out all the names from the email list. Please make sure, please release this thing, None of this we follow. Because for us is, people inside don't dictate because they don't know the situation, So we were calling the shots. Because when we were arrested before, Selvam always will tell me, when I'm arrested with Selvam, he'll tell me, you are arrested, you just keep quiet. Other fellas will know what to do, Because, so I think it's a very important lesson at that time for the people outside, because we can see daily the campaign is gaining momentum. So we had massive campaign, you know. For example, we targeted to lodge 100 police reports, and we got 620 police report lodged all over the country, you know. And then suddenly, one by one, you know, Khairi Jamaluddin said, you know, he's against the detention. Then Gerakan against the detention, MCA against the detention, MIC against the detention. So one by one, Barisan component parties were falling apart. So this one, the people inside don't know, you know. So here we know lah, you know. And like what Prema told just now, you know, when we wanted to raise bail, we were initially, when we talked to the lawyers, they said just prepare 2,000 for each lah, which we had. But the police asked 15,000 and the court gave 8,000. And they charged the people at 4 p.m. Imagine 4 p.m. they charge you, and we needed to raise 192,000 ringgit. And we managed to do it with that Prema and all the well-wishers. In 45 minutes, we had more than 192,000. Massive fundraising, people gave money lah. Okay, and just two very one interesting, two important memories was 4th of July, the second day, the police were planning to arrest a few of us under EO, you know. Myself, Sokwa, and Remy. We got the news through journalists, and Gerakan members in Penang confirmed it. But what was very interesting was, we were so angry that time because they were bullying us. We were talking to all the people in the bus. If they make the arrest, shall we fight or not? We decided to fight. So asked, what do we have to fight? What we have in hand to fight? Everyone said we had mineral water, mineral bottles. So we thought, okay lah, if we want to fight, we will show them we can fight, you know. But lucky it didn't happen. So that was one very critical day, 4th of July. And let me go to the last 3 days lah. Very interesting, because the last 3 days, 27, 28, 29 lah. Because this day, we already planned. Our idea is, we wanted to know Kumar going to go on hunger strike or not. We knew about it, but we needed a confirmation. 27, family visit, we already know lah. Kumar already told Rani, okay, I'm going on hunger strike. Okay, that is 27. Then we know, after Kumar declare hunger strike, the next day, a number of people will follow him in hunger strike. Then on the 30th, that means 29 is Friday. Saturday, we will do a biggest rally in Dataran Merdeka, and then we're going to walk to Bukit Aman, and we're going to declare hunger strike. So they asked, who want to do hunger strike? Everyone volunteered in our team. Everyone wanted to do a hunger strike because everyone cannot go on with the campaign, so tired. So I also put up. Then Cecilia was there lah, our doctor. She said, Arul, you also going to go on hunger strike? I said, no lah, I'm tired lah. Someone else take over lah, you know. So we were like, that's the final lah. Let's do it. Go all out, you know. But what happened? Very interestingly, 27th morning, I got a call from the Home Ministry, Makiman. He called me. He said, what are you doing? I said, campaigning against the government. He said, can I meet you? Very important. Afternoon, met him in a hotel alone. He said, the Prime Minister, he says, my Home Minister, my boss, H, means Hishamuddin lah. He said, my boss, H, is going to meet the Prime Minister. We are going to have with the IGP a meeting. Please convince me that this EO is stupid. These people are stupid. He was blaming the police lah. So I showed him the kertas tuduhan lah. Look at the kertas tuduhan, I said. Bersih. And you know what he said? I am a lawyer lah. Stupid tuduhan lah. And you know, he's telling me, you know, communist and socialism berbeza tau. So I know he's reading our website lah. And he also told me, well, yesterday the rally, the gathering you all did in at Dataran Merdeka was so huge, but good lah, you all are peaceful. So what it reminded me, that they know lah, this is our strength. Then he asked me, okay, let me bring it up to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister wants to release them. Actually, this police lah, you know, Taguna, all that, trying to. So I said, come on lah, Home Minister, police is under you, don't give me the story and all that. 28 when Kumar did this hunger strike, which we know lah, but of course drama lah, we went to the Bukit Aman, we said we are shocked, we don't know Kumar going to be in hunger strike, Rani is shocked, all that. He called me again. He said, Arul, what happened? Why is Kumar going on hunger strike? Can you ask him to call off the hunger strike or not? We cannot release like that lah. So I told him, can. Only condition, you must let me talk to Kumar. Kumar will not believe anybody else, I said. He said, can you write a note and give to Kumar now? He said he won't believe. I want to meet Kumar because I was very worried about Kumar. One is about the hunger strike. Another thing is Kumar's view is there's something happening outside, you know. I don't want Kumar to like under this. We are going to get released. I wanted this meeting, you know, so that we get some form of communication with Kumar lah. So, but what interestingly is, after that they call again. He says, okay lah, can we put them on, some of them on restricted residence, but we release everyone. So from the 28, I already know people going to be released lah, but I never told anyone because I'm afraid if they play me out, then the big rally, the momentum will go down. I kept quiet, kept to myself. I didn't even consult CC members. I think I spoke to Selvam alone. So I said, okay lah, Ken. Maybe I spoke to Edmund, I'm not sure. I said, okay lah, even restricted residents, some. I think they were thinking of restricted residents for Sugu. So just coming to the end of it, this is 28. What happened on 29, just before Friday prayer is, they called me. They said, if we release them, can you issue a statement or not? Praising the Home Minister. I said, can. They said, thank you. Then they called me again. Can we see the statement or not? So in my first time in my life, the Home Ministry direct me to write a statement for them. So I wrote a PSM statement. The statement, I released it today, a short 2-para. I thank the Home Ministry for releasing our people without condition. And he said, Ishamuddin is very happy with the with the letter. And then later on, I got a call from Edmund. He says, Arul, they are calling us to this place, Jinjang. I don't know lah, release or not, but maybe possibility and all that lah. Of course, then I got this WhatsApp message from Ishamuddin saying to you, over to you, Arul. So I think it's a massive campaign lah. You know, massive campaign where we won end of the day. And public support, we won it. And you know, Ishamuddin, Hussein and everybody, and you know, they found that they couldn't bully us lah. You know, I think initially when they went for the PSM, they thought all the Pakatan parties, PSM is a small mosquito party lah, you know. If you blame cash this fellas, put them under call them communists, the Rakyat won't be behind them, no. But I think that was proven wrong lah. So I think that was this great 30 days and experience we had. Of course, more than 30 days added to the first few days. It was and a lot of people were involved in the struggle lah. Massive struggle. Yep.
Thank you, Arul, for the, you know, I know it is difficult to summarize a big 30-day campaign in 15 or 10 minutes, but you know, you made it. Thank you so much. And I think this campaign is nothing short of remarkable. You know, it was a roller coaster, but a lot of people were in, you know, and yeah, one of the best campaign, and we learned a lot from this. Ni saya cakap English pula, sorry. Okay, jadi penonton, okay, 90 minit bersama kita dan menyambut tahun ke-10, ulang tahun ke-10 EO6 kita. Dan terima kasih kerana be with us for the entire program. Yeah, I know it's a bit long, but I think this is a beautiful journey, something to remember for us to remember. And at this time, I think kita tak ada masa untuk soal jawab. Kalau ada apa-apa, tolong komen. Kita akan get back to you in the YouTube or in the Facebook page. Biar saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada panel kita, Edmund, Prema and Aru. Dan EO6 kita yang in the first segment. Sebelum kita akhiri, saya ingin menyatakan solidariti kepada Sarah Irdina yang ditahan polis hari ini. Okay, hentikan intimidasi, bebaskan sara. Ya. Dan saya akhiri program ini dengan ucapan terima kasih Daun Keladi. Harap kita jumpa lagi. Okey, hidup rakyat, hidup perjuangan. Selamat malam semua. Bye.